All right. Well, we are back. Last show of the first day of the World Fair. We've made it a whole day.
Yes.
Cops haven't come yet, have they?
No, they haven't.
No.
Not yet.
So, well, welcome to the show. I should have probably started with that.
I have a little bit more time to get the cops here.
Right.
I'm a loudmouth too, right?
We saved the best for last.
Okay, great.
Right.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Now, the one thing that we want to talk about as we close this show out is photography. So we always talk about photography equals money. Photography tells a story. And of course, I'm not going to tell a photography story without having Collision Edge join me.
Thank you.
Because you guys make the tools that we use to tell the stories.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through all of these tools today, but we're going to talk about them in terms of how I use them, how Larry uses them, and what we use them for. So when we talk about photography and collision estimating, boy, it sure has changed over the years.
Yes.
For most, yes, the large predominant amount of people, yes, it's changed from the good old black and whites to the Polaroids to the disposables.
My Sony Mavica camera, that used to have the big disc, that flid in the side of it. But technology has done well. And as the cell phone has advanced, I remember probably 10 years ago we were teaching classes telling people not to take pictures with their cell phones because the pixel ratings were too low.
Right.
They didn't have a macro feature on them. And now the cameras are shooting 4K video and doing amazing things. But let's go through some of the tools real quick, and let's start with cameras. So you can use a phone. These days, you're going to want to make sure it's not one of them flippy phones.
Right.
Right, that would be bad. Not one of those.
I know some people still with a flippy phone.
Yeah,
but if you have a cell phone that has good high resolution on it, that allows you to have some picture macro effects, etc., lets you get close up and do some things, a cell phone can work.
Yes.
It also compresses photos, so you'll want to make sure that when you export them, you export them in a non-compressed way. But you're also going to need more of a traditional based camera to do well. And those are what we like to call our point and clicks. And they come in a variety of sizes. This one, if you've taken the file documentation class, you see me talk about this one all the time. It's available on Amazon. It's a $40 camera with an SD card in it. What I like to do is I like to slide these in the RO holder, the jacket that goes over the rearview mirror, slide it in there, and one camera goes with every car. When it enters the shop, it's part of the intake process. That way the technician has a really good, easy way of documenting what they're doing.
Well, each tech in each department, or even a foreman, or an estimator that might come by during the repair process has the ability not to have to go get a camera or worry about it. It's on the same thing, and then when you're done, you're done.
Yeah,
Right.
and it stays with the card so everybody can use it. I'm not a big fan of, I know a lot of people are like, well, get the estimating app. I don't want every technician in my shop and the painter and everybody taking pictures and trying to attach them to the estimate that's going to go up. One, I don't want to put that many pictures in the cloud either, but then two, as the person that's going to oversee the final upload or what I do or don't share, I may want to cull some pictures out. Some pictures are bad pictures or whatever, but if I have a camera in the car, it's there. Now, Larry, when it comes to something that we want to document for an RTA or a court case, we step up our camera level game a little bit more, right?
Well, we have to take more pictures at better angles, and really got to concentrate on drilling into the photos, the quarter, half the quarter, the dog leg, and then the dent on the dog leg, so we have an idea where we're at. We'll probably have to put some sort of measuring device, making sure it's on the floor for height measurements, that everything's level. Taking on-plane pictures is very important versus perspective photos.
But now when you're taking those, though, you're taking them with a more, not like a little point and shoot, you're taking those with a traditional type DSLR style camera.
I have a D8 that I have. It's like a $5,000 camera with some of the lenses I have on there, just to take. Also, basically the reason we have to take those pictures is sometimes an attorney might pick out of the 300 pictures we take 2 photos, and we got to blow it up big. And you don't want it to pixelate. You want it to look just as clear on your cell phone, on an iPad, on a computer screen, or blown up like poster size.
On a poster board.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's the idea. And guys will go to me, oh, that's great. Can I get one of those? Well, I went to classes on actually how to learn all the settings, because most people buy those expensive DSLR cameras because they look cool, and then they put it on point and shoot. They just put it on automatic. So now you got a $1,000 point and shoot camera with like a macro lens on it, so you can take a picture of your son's face with all blurriness in the back. You know, so it does become funny. But
at that point, right?
you know, I take some great shots with the iPhone, but I've taken shots with the iPhone because sometimes cars are parked in between cars when I go to investigate a car sometimes, and they refuse to move it, so I got to get in between them. And I'm not exactly the thinnest person to get between cars, but even if I could, the camera is too big. It doesn't fit, so I got to grab my cell phone and sometimes reach in and hit the the volume button to take a photo with it. And I do notice a difference in quality of photo between even though this is the iPhone 13, 2,000 megapixel, and my DSLR.
Wow.
Okay. No, it's not. I'm exaggerating. But they have all these megapixels for what? For photo to go on Facebook, Instagram. You don't need that clarity for it. And then anyway, 98% of the people put filters on them. You know what I mean? So.
You mean people don't look like that with the bunny ears?
Yeah, no, people don't look like that with the bunny
not
ears.
real?
No, it's not real. Like wrestling isn't real either.
what?
Mark burst in my bubble last night. He told me wrestling isn't real. The Rock and Stone Cold really didn't fight. So I'm very upset about that.
That's our state official sport. That's not real.
I thought it was otter wrestling was your state sport, but okay, maybe I'm wrong.
No. Otters are to be loved and revered.
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
yes,
crazy.
They are.
So we're going to have different types of cameras that we have
Yes.
to have. So the shop, basically, I'm going to have a few different options available depending on what I'm taking pictures for and why I'm taking pictures. So the higher the risk, the greater level of accuracy I need in the pictures. Or I may be trying to capture something, and video is becoming a good way of documenting damage.
Yeah.
Now, if I can't see it, I can't photograph it, and that's where lights come into play. Now, if we could go wide in the studio right now, you'd see a bunch of lights that we use for video production. I'm not saying every shop needs to run around and buy studio lights, but you do need to have some form of fixed or directed light. I love magnetic lights. You guys like magnets too, right?
Yeah.
So I have a collection of a lot of different magnet lights that I can put pretty much anywhere, and I can light anything. Is that Tim over there like lighting up, thinking he's got something new to show? But I can put a magnet light anywhere and show the light on what I want to have. You can do small lights, big lights, but you will at some point need some sort of fixed lighting, specifically if we're talking undercarriage,
Yes.
inside a wheelhouse, inside a trunk. Anything that your top light is shielding off of, you're going to want to make sure you get that well lit to be able to take the pictures that you need. Now, once I've got it lit, once I've selected my camera and once I got it lit, I'm going to have to go through a whole different scenario to show people what's damaged or to be able to give, perspective maybe?
Yep.
To show
have
the
to tell a
size.
story.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that's where my collision edge tools start coming out of the toolbox.
Right.
So I use pretty much everything you guys make when it comes to time to take pictures to tell a story. So Ginger, walk us through, I guess we want to start on the end with the dent viewer boards, because this is how we met. Your husband and I got in a really nice fist fight over this.
Yes, that was years ago,
yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah, that's how the relationship started, right?
Some of my best friends are fist fights. Like Derek's coming on later in the week in the show, and him and I got in a fight over rekey. I think it's like how I make friends.
Yeah. Fights.
Anyway,
You get over it and move on. That's how some of the best things are developed, is through problems, right?
Yeah, she's such a joy. She should be a Walmart greeter.
Yeah. So you find a problem and you fix it,
Yep.
right? So line boards have been around forever. You know that.
Well, egg crates. I was making about egg crates
Right.
for hail damage on cats.
Egg crates. They've been around forever. But what we did is we kind of, I guess you could say, made a line board on steroids. And the first one that came out is called the dent viewer. It's the standard size. It has two sides. It has a reflective backing like your street sign, so it grabs every bit of the light when you take a picture. But we started out with just one side, and Tim and I had an argument over putting another side on it. I didn't want to and leave it the same price. I wanted
Right.
to increase the price. He said no, but we did a dark side, because there are times where you have a light colored car or you can't use outside and you need a dark side. So we created the dent viewer board, and what it allows you to do, Holly, if you'll pull up that image of the diagram that shows the angle, you hold the board at like a 90-degree angle or 45-degree angle, you take a picture of the dent, and then it shoots the reflection back onto the panel. And it shows you, after you have that up, if you'll pull up the before picture of the dent, kind of is here, on here as well, if it shows up. But then after, and she'll pull up that one as well. Am I giving you enough time, or am I going too fast? You got it? Okay. So we have a before and we have an after. So if you're sending this picture, which we know today, COVID even ramped this up even more with photographs being sent instead of people coming on site, insurance adjusters coming on site. This streamlines the process all the way from the field adjuster, the desk adjuster, from the shop to the desk adjuster, right? And so it streamlines it. Time's money. Time, you know, every bit of time you can save. So we came out with the dent viewer board first, the standard size, and then everybody's like, well, I really need to be able to do a larger panel, and I would like to not to be able to have to hold it. So we came up with the dent viewer XL.
And this is great for trucks, cab corners.
Right.
Yeah.
Same premise, light and dark, but it toggles, right? So you can stand back, take a picture, whatever angle you would like. So we came up with the XL, and then not too long ago, actually, probably a year or so ago, we came up with the MD. And the MD is the same process, but it kind of allows you to do quick walk-arounds. Like if you have an estimator that's outside and you want to make sure there's dents that you catch, well, you walk around the car with this to make sure you mark every single one of them, right? So those are that's the dent viewers.
And so these are real good. So part of my role as an estimator, or not even estimator, whether I'm the hired appraiser on an RTA, or I'm doing an inspection for a case before we're going to go to court or whatever, I've got to be able to show to typically an audience that isn't a repairer. So it's one thing when two like-minded, I don't want to say like-minded, but maybe like-trained repairers get together and start discussing damage and what it's going to take to fix it. But that's not what we do these days. We're not sending our pictures and telling our story to a like-minded or like-trained individual. We're telling that story or sending those pictures to someone with very little training, very little knowledge of what the names of even parts are called, very little knowledge of dents and how you fix them. And so being able to give perspective to a dent, going, hey, this isn't just, I know that you're seeing right where the impact or the point of that is,
rolls.
But yeah, it goes over, and that's what the dent viewer boards do a fantastic job, and I couldn't do it with anything else. So that's like a tool. If I'm going to take pictures and tell a story and get paid, tools I have to have. Right,
and our board, I know a lot of people, there's different things out there, but our board really, with that reflective backing, just grabs, it makes a huge difference. Try it with and without.
Well, and that was part of our, that was part of the fight, is I used to get, we called them egg crates, but they were the fluorescent light covers, and they were just squares, and I would buy them at Home Depot, and I would put black line tape or blue line tape across them, and that's how we taught our estimators in the hail lines on catastrophes for the insurance companies how to show the dents, right? And I'm thinking, I don't need your damn board, dude. I can do this for like 10 bucks at Home Depot. And he's like, no, you got to try this. And the first time I took a picture, I was like, well, hell. Now I got to say I'm sorry, and I got to buy a couple. So they really
wrong again.
Yeah, it happens.
I like to say hard to change. I don't know, wrong. Is wrong the right word?
Yeah, wrong is the right word. Can we have a vote on the, wait, let me see, is there a vote? Can we put a poll on this somehow?
But they definitely work. But then that wasn't enough. You didn't stop after the dent board.
Yeah. Believe it or not, a lot of people think that the tape thing is the first thing that we came out with. But the very first tool we ever developed was a ruler tool, were our magnetic ruler tools. We came up with, they used to be silver a long time ago. I did it on my engraver when I had an engraving business, and Tim was back in sales a long time ago. But we came up with the blend stick. And what the blend stick does is it allows you to communicate the need to blend. A lot of times an insurance agent might tell you that you can blend, within this panel. Well, with one photograph, Holly, I think we have that one. If you pull it up, it's on the white Suburban. Kind of shows you back here as well on this board behind Kristen. It shows you mark your dent, size of your dent, you mark your filler and your primer, and then you put the magnetic ruler on the primer edge. And it shows from there to there, right? You're going to need to blend that.
Yep.
All right, so Kristen needs a reading class because that says primer edge.
Look, see my arrow? See my arrow? I had to create.
That's the blend side.
No,
see, you'd have to do that. You'd have to get crafty and go to the opposite side because we know this is all getting blend. So here's the blend edge here, okay? And this is how we're painting it. Now!
Our view count just went way up.
And it hit me again! This is on videotape.
There's a record of it. And I love it.
Are the
But
cops
it tells
outside
the
yet?
story. Now, what
Right.
I really love, though, if we pay attention here, is that we're not just doing standard colors anymore.
Right.
In fact, I think it's a rarity when I actually see a standard color. So if I'm doing a high metallic or a pearl, that blend goes out even further. If I'm doing these high opacity, these high effect colors that we see now,
Right.
that blend goes out even more. So this lets me very clearly take a picture, show what I'm doing, show why my R&Is are where they are.
Right.
Great tool for the picture.
Right. And so you can buy the blend stick by itself, but it also comes in a kit called the estimating kit, which includes 3 additional ruler tools that you can use to identify, damage, right? You can see, but so you can give scale to damage by using the ruler tools. But it also allows you, a technician many times at the end of the day is running up to the front office saying, I took this emblem off of a car, I have no idea where it goes back, right?
Well, maybe you should have taken a picture before you took it off.
All right.
Maybe you should have measured it before you took it off.
Good idea.
Instead of going on the internet to try and find it, or when they spelled Jeep wrong.
Right.
Because they put the letters on individually.
So Holly, if you'll pull up that picture that shows actually this word suburban, we found a point of reference in this picture, and you actually can lay out the tools and show and show where the emblem goes back. So
in
multi-purpose.
estimating,
Yes.
we talk about when we're taking emblems and putting them on, because we don't R&I, we don't reuse them, right?
No, we don't reuse them.
But we talk about measure, mark, install.
Yes.
And that's a labor charge on our estimates for measure, marking, and installing. And a lot of insurers ask me, what the heck is that? And I go, it's that.
And there's,
Right.
That's
I've
measure,
actually
mark,
done a
install.
few of my C20 group classes that we've gone into multiple different OEMs that show you where the different emblems go. Like, for example, Toyota, the center Toyota emblem's pretty much in the same spot. The Toyota nameplate is in the same spot, but the XLE, XLS, S, XMA, they all are in slightly different spots depending on what they are. Similar to Dodge with the Durango, the RT, the S, the GT, the SRT, and even the Hellcat all have their emblems in different spots in the back. The Durango's still there in the same spot, but the rest is all in different spots. So, and they give you measurements. But even though they give you measurements, it's always nice to have it, a picture of it beforehand. And this will make it a little bit easier instead of me laying tape out and trying to go, all right, it's 4 pieces of 3/4 tape, 1 piece of 1/4-inch tape, and then 1 piece of 2-inch tape at about a 1/4-inch space there.
Right.
And now you're trying to figure it out versus, I'll just put a ruler on there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So those
And
kind of-
everybody has a phone today with a camera, so your technician can just take a picture of it, and then they can pull it right back up and know where it goes
Or
back.
if
So
they
it saves
take it
time.
with the
and
camera and the RO jacket,
or-
it's right there for review.
That's
Yes.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, as well.
Well, those are the things. Now that's not all. Wait,
Right.
but wait, there's more.
But
So
wait,
we've
wait,
got
there's more.
Dent viewers. We use the rulers. I also use, and we'll talk about the arrows.
Okay.
Right. And we're going to talk about the tape caddy and everything that's in that, because I use the garbage out of these arrows. And what was interesting, I think I sent Tim a picture the other day. I was at a dealership service department in Massachusetts, and they were using the arrows
Yeah.
in the service department. I'm not a big fan of marking up cars for a lot of different reasons. One, it can cause some issues with the paint. It can cause issues with glass, etc. But most of you are using a marking system that you were taught in a blueprinting class, probably from a paint company or somebody else. And I'm just going to tell you, the adjusters have no clue what your X's and your squiggly lines and any of that stuff
I
means.
can't stand all the X's and circle marks that they put on there, which make next to no sense whatsoever in many cases, and actually obscures what actual damage is there. And can
Right.
actually get you in trouble, because a lot of times it's come down to, oh, what does the X mean? Well, that part's no good, it's damaged. Oh, well, the car was sitting on the left-hand side. Why are we Xing out stuff on the right-hand side of the car?
I hate the X's. I'll just
Yeah.
tell you, as a former insurance claims manager, director, or whatever, when you sent me a picture, typically with a pink marker where you've marked up and X'd and done lines and arrows, and I just throw them away. I don't even want to look at
Well,
them.
and we've even had, with the grease markers, we've even had damage created because it gets in a scratch that you didn't see, and then it tattoos that into the paint job, and now you're
Or
repairing more.
most shops don't wash cars before they do any analysis. So now they're taking that dirt and grinding it into the car and scratching it by using the marker and writing around on it and stuff like that.
Thus, we came up with the Mark Safe arrows.
Yeah,
Right?
and they're fantastic. And this is what if I was writing an estimate, this is what my tape caddy would look like.
Yeah.
Arrows
so you
are
want
on.
a pen and like a piece of paper or something too? Just that. You're just going to
Well,
use
my
the tape
caddy,
alone.
it's gonna be right there. So I'm gonna have
Goodness.
masking tape, and I'm gonna have my arrows on my caddy, because as I walk around and I see something, I'm just gonna make notes. Now they come in different colors. You can do colors for whatever. I mean, I have some shops that are like green means it stays, red means it goes, yellow means, hey, I don't know, whatever. But I'll just make a note for whatever I want to say in the picture.
And I like to give a little tip. When you put it on the car, if you bend right back before you put it on the car, if you'll bend that little edge over, it makes it easy to
Pull it back off the car.
Yeah, that's just a little trick.
No residue, no glue. I love those. But it's been a long time since I've wrote an estimate that I haven't needed to have tape for something else.
Right.
So that's one thing I love about this is, as you've got it there, and you can trade me out.
Yeah.
As I'm walking around the car, if there's something I really need to label in the photos, like this was Jason. Jason put holes in panel, right?
So she's part rat. You just ratted Jason out. We didn't know who did the damage. I thought it was part of the collision. That's what I was going with. But no, Christian has to throw Jason under the bus.
It was part of the class. We did need to create the holes to show what you're
How to
not
screw up a
supposed-
panel?
What you're not supposed to do, but
okay.
But I am going to hold it over his head as long as I can.
Oh,
right?
I see.
But occasionally I want to write notes, and I want that note to come up in my photograph, because remember, I'm sending photos to someone that has never done this job.
Right.
The people sitting in desk review, photo review, I'm going to tell you 99% of them have never been a field estimator. They've never done this job. They're trying the best to do the job they have, and we can all say how well or how bad that they do that job.
Well,
but
I have an opinion on that. Would you like?
No,
No.
we don't want to hear it. So, so that and the tape thing.
but-
just while we're at it, I know for estimating, I like to use obviously this size, and I layer up.
Right.
But the tape thing comes in lots of different sizes.
Yes, it
and
does.
It does more than hold tape.
Yeah. We have the tape things come in 2-inch, 1.5 inch, and 3/4. But we also have the fine line version, and we created this. It comes in a little case so that it holds it and keeps your tape clean in between, because we know that's very expensive. So yes, those come, but also we created the caddy, which is what Kristen's been referring to, and it holds more than your tape. It holds a razor blade. How many times have you seen people with these in their mouth behind their ear? If it's on the floor, it can be an OSHA fine, depending on where you live.
$5,000. Yeah.
Right, $5,000 OSHA fine.
$5,000.
So
Yeah.
we have a place to put
That'll
the
be the
razor
big
blade.
question now. Watch.
Yeah.
Waiting for it.
This will be a place for your razor blade. There's a piece of sandpaper right here. There's a Velcro piece that you can stick a piece of sandpaper to. There's also another magnet right here that you could put another anything ferrous.
All right,
Yeah,
so
there you go.
I have
Yeah.
my new tool I'm coming out with called my negotiator. This is the negotiator thing. Will this hold on there?
No.
Can we get an adapter for this? Can we get an adapter for this for the negotiator? So you put your tape thing all over the place, and you put all your signs up, and then you're like, oh, I need to negotiate that. Well, here, speak to my negotiator, ball, peen, and hammer.
You know I'm known for my hammer use.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that.
And
Okay.
we hear that's what your foot is.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
happened.
I finally
You
had
had a
enough.
little issue there.
Yeah, I got
But I can
tired.
fix that. I can make the pain go away. If they hit your other foot, that foot will not bother you anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
And then it
work in
looks-
pain management.
It holds the rag.
Yep,
So as I'm
holds the
walking
rag.
out, I mean, we're not usually writing estimates or inspecting clean cars.
And
Typically.
that's a big problem.
But if
Cars
I-
should be washed first.
Yeah, if I need to wipe something off or do whatever, then I've got that rag on me. So when I head out, that's on my hip.
Right.
and I
And
got
yeah, the
everything I
left
need.
depends on if you're a lefty or a righty. That's why there's 2 hooks. So.
Yeah.
And you can put it on your front, you put it on your back, wherever you want to put it.
Wherever you
So,
want to have it and
right.
have it go.
Where it
So
comes.
those are some of the great tools, and you keep coming up with stuff every time I turn around.
Yeah.
Obviously, the can thing's one of my favorites for non-can related purposes, or non-aerosol can
Yeah, I
related
got mine.
purposes. But well, you know, when I'm working, and typically as a good body man, I'm
Let's
eating.
see you get yourself out of this
I'm
one.
eating
I see
lunch.
where this is going.
I'm eating lunch while I'm working. So
Oh,
while I've
eating
got
lunch while you're working, so
Right.
you're getting your greasy hands all over the
Well,
bare metal you shouldn't be touching.
we talk about
I
the
got it.
pizza rub a lot,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so I don't have to put my drink down while I make the pizza rub.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, that's good too, because the condensation from the cold drink will drip down on the panel and hopefully wash away your pizza grease.
Correct.
Okay, good.
And
you got the holder that has the rag on it, so now you can take that
Mark
grease
needs to come in
and water and wipe it all over the whole
You
side of
need
the
to
That's
car.
come
for
and
my
talk about the
hands.
can
Oh,
thing.
for your hands.
So I get another piece of pizza.
I see.
So, all right. So
Or
I've
you
got,
can use them to organize. Mark uses them.
Oh, I mean, you can use it
Everywhere.
for, so we'll have them around here. Pretty much, I think more and more aerosol products are coming out, whether it's gun cleaners, cavity waxes, whatever. More and more products are coming out in aerosol, and having that ability to put that on there and have that can. If I've got a car up on the rack, and let's say I'm doing, I'm going to do the cavity wax on the rail or whatever, and I have to, like, go do something else.
Right.
I don't have to. I can just set that cavity wax right there. It sticks to the car. It's all well and good
Right, right.
and organized at that point. All right. So here's the biggest trick to pictures, and this is pretty much probably, I think, contradictory to anything anybody's ever heard about photography in this industry. My photos have to tell a story. My photos are not designed for line documentation for things, and I'm going to tell you why. Because every time I get a file to review, whether it's coming in for RTA, it's coming in for suit or whatever, and the shop sends me their pictures, you can tell that someone walked out and went, I need to take a picture to support replacing that bumper cover. And so they walk up and they give me a picture of the corner of the bumper cover that's torn.
Right.
And they send that in and go, well, that's why I needed a bumper cover.
Yeah.
And we're like, tell me a story. So if you start taking pictures to tell a story, that I want to tell you the story of that bumper cover, here's an overview shot, here's as I'm drilling in, here's the damage, I'm going to do better off getting what I want on the estimate. If I go out and start taking pictures of a car thinking that I'm going to be taking photos to just document the line items on the estimate, I'm going to miss a lot, or I'm going to miss perspective of what I'm trying to show. So that's tip number one, right? You got your tools together, you got your cameras, you got your lights, you're ready to go to this car. What am I looking to do? I'm looking to tell a story. And if I keep that in perspective, I'm going to do a little bit better job. But now let's talk about some tricks, right?
Yep.
So my trick number one that I like to do when taking pictures is use the dip boards wherever you can. If you're trying to show panel damage, whether it's panel damage to repair or panel damage to replace, that's what the board's for.
Right.
It tells the story. If I have to do a whole lot of talking, I didn't take very good pictures. If the pictures can tell me how big the dent goes across the panel, how deep the dent goes across the panel, the board's the only thing that can really do that for me.
Right.
I've searched for a lot of years to try to figure out how to show depth and a whole lot of different things in panels, but I'm not getting there. The second thing is, how do you mark the panel? Meaning, what do you write on there that tells a person what you're trying to show them? So we're gonna use stickers. A lot of times I like to use masking tape, and I'll write anything on masking tape to put on the car. I like the arrows. Hey, look at this, and I'll write in there what I'm wanting them to see. Remember that I'm taking these pictures for someone that's not a trained body tech, not really a trained, I'd say, estimator from a body shop perspective. Half the time they're looking for what's that part. So if we look in here, I'll get my light, right? One of the things that I use tape to do is to name parts. So you've got on your estimate replace strut, and then you've got a picture of a strut, and you're assuming that the person reviewing your estimate knows what that part is. Now, if we came up with a nomenclature dictionary, which I believe CIC or NABC did, and then they also translated that to Spanish, so we have a nomenclature in English and Spanish. Right. The same panel can have 5, 6, 7 different names. We suffer this when we're looking up OE research. That one OE calls it a bonnet and another calls it a whatever, and we can't figure out how to find it. So don't assume that the person that's reviewing your estimate has that same level of parts knowledge. So if it's a part, particularly suspension, steering, etc., that's not like a fender or a hood, I'll put a piece of tape on it, I'll name it, whether it says replace, and if I think I need to draw their attention, I'll write. You can see there I've got line 86. So line 86 of my estimate goes to that part. If they happen to not know what the name of that part is,
Smart.
I'm going to help them out a little bit. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to remember that the person looking at my estimate isn't Larry.
It's really smart.
Is that really what that says? I may not replace less H86.
Line pound 86.
It looks more like less H86.
I'm going to get my ruler back
Whatever.
out.
Get that. Ginger, I'm going to need you to handle him, right? So
Tim, I think you need to make up a spelling thing for some people. Maybe a handwriting thing for some people.
The spelling thing.
Spelling thing and a handwriting thing.
Yeah.
Because some people have very bad handwriting.
The next thing that I like a lot of magnets. Like I said, I like magnetic lights, but I also like the magnetic rulers do really well for me. I'll do magnetic color sheets that I can put on panels and block some things off, but magnets are a really good way. And pens. So make sure, I like the Sharpies. I don't like writing on the cars for a lot of obvious reasons. And then just like, I think acronyms. We're an industry of acronyms, OE and APU and all these different things that we use. We can't assume that other people understand our shorthand. So if it's X's, check marks, squiggly lines, I've walked up to cars before on re-inspections where the shop's they've marked this car all up, and the first thing I make them do is clean it all off before I inspect the car. So make sure whatever you're writing that people understand. Lights, I really want to talk a little bit about lights, and I'm going to ask Holly to pull a picture up. Light changes everything, right? We've all seen those memes of the guy that goes to the gym, and gyms have down lighting, right? Yeah. So I look in the gym, and I look all buff, and I'm feeling proud, and I come home, and I'm like, when you change the lighting, it changes the whole perspective. So the first picture we have is a picture of me just taking a photograph of a wall. I love this trick. We started doing this in the State Farm, probably 20 years ago. Bob Medved, Roger Cady would do this when we brought young estimators up. But when I take a picture just looking at that wall, I don't see anything wrong with that wall. Looks like a pretty normal wall. What would I write, especially in homeowners claims? What would you write on this wall? What would you put on there? Well,
it's a
nothing,
total.
Right? It's a total for you.
It's a total. Wait.
Now,
hey, I'll go fix it. It's going to be a total in a second. Let me go to that wall. I'll fix it right now.
If I add some simple lighting to that picture and change the way that wall or that panel is lit, I now see something completely different. And so in the next picture, with just adding a simple tiny bit of lighting to it, you now begin to see the deformity and the damage on that panel.
Right.
And that's a story that allows an adjuster or anyone to go, oh, I see what you need, I see what you want. So lighting plays a huge, huge difference.
And even in that photo, you can see it's a smaller, short light. But you would take a picture like this, you can see the hand, you can see the light. But then if you drilled in and just saw the lighted area alone with the deformities or imperfections in the wall, you'd be able to trace it and go, all right, here's the wall, that's where a hand is. Now you drill in and you can see the imperfections a lot closer, blown up bigger because you drilled in. But if you just take a picture of the light against the wall, you don't even know where it is in the wall. But with the perspective of where her hand was on the wall, now you get an idea. She's by the edge of the wall, she drilled in, that's where that damage is, and that's where that imperfections is, and it runs across the whole wall.
And one of the beauties of the dent viewer board is it was capturing that light for us all along.
Right.
So it was allowing us to use the light and reflect it back to the panel. But once I'm up underneath the car, and I'm now looking at rails, floor pans, etc., I'm going to have to get a little bit more creative with how I use light to tell the story of what I'm taking the pictures of.
Well, if you got a car jacked up, you can take some of these bigger boards and you can angle them underneath the car. And if you bounce your flash the right way or your light the right way, it'll light up or illuminate the bottom of the car so you can get a shot of it if it's not jacked up in the air on a two-post lift. So you can actually angle your light to give a reflection and get that shot off that you want. And sometimes, even if there's other tricks and it's too short of a class for this, we'd have to make a separate photography class. But if I had a bright LED light bouncing off that underneath the car and then use the flash on my phone or even the flash on this little point and shoot, it's going to give you a different flash picture than too much white balance or a flash out or a flood out of the photo, because this backlighting helps out. Much like if you have ever been in a wedding party or seen a wedding party, they have these big umbrella and screens that they put up all over them. That's to bounce that light off of their camera so that it flashes. And then other times they have flashes up on top and the flash goes like this, but it's aimed to bounce off that and then backlight you. So it gives a little bit of an opinion of 3D or a little bit more dimension to the picture for people, and that helps you out. So you don't have to take a huge photography class. It's just practicing a little bit with certain things. And we've talked about this in the C20 class, and taking pictures and keeping yourself out of the pictures, because normally you wind up with that umpire and catcher picture. You got the somebody doing this, and then somebody's behind them looking at it while they're taking a picture. And they look great in the black car, but you can't see the damage in the car. All you have is this big, huge reflect. Or you get a nice picture of the car with the reflection of the car next to it. And it just doesn't work out. So there's some lighting things, positioning things. That's why we talked about we're going to have to make a photograph class. And showing how to not only utilize these tools, but also how to make sure you're in the right position. I don't know what
Right.
lighting. Don't have anything next to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so that's the next part that we want to talk about is be very aware of what your photos are showing, both behind where you're shooting and what may be reflecting back the way you shoot. So one of the things that I love to do as an adjuster when I was investigating, we'll put quotes around investigating. When I was investigating a shop, was I was not necessarily just looking for the pictures that shop was giving me on that car that was in repair, but I would figure out what other cars were in the shop at the same time, and I would want to go look in those photos because I'm hoping that when you took pictures, you forgot what was in the back of the photos, and I wanted to see the condition. So I had so many claims where I was able, I don't want to say get out of paying, but I was able to change the negotiation just by what they shared in pictures for the file we weren't even negotiating
So you're going to
on.
take money off of the other claim. That's why you need the negotiator. This negotiator will help you get paid.
Well, I mean, I think one thing that shops don't know, you think that here's the file, and we're talking about this file, and that's true, but if I have access, particularly for our DRP shops, if I have access to other things in the shop, I'm going to look for that car to show up in those pictures as well.
Why is that car coming out of paint and all the belt moldings and door handles are messed off?
Right.
And why are you using newspaper?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. So you want to watch out for what's behind the vehicle that you're shooting, what else you might be showing in photographs,
Right.
and then you want to watch that bouncy reflection like you said. So not just are you in the picture, because I really don't want to see myself or see you.
You should never be in the picture. No one else should be in the picture or anything like that. I mean, I'll make an argument when you first get a car in, if a customer's there and there's something that you think is going to be a problem or it's a problem, get a picture of the customer next to the car, even pointing to it. You know, no, they're scratching the bumper. You don't want to pay for it? No problem. Videotape it. It's like, how did this scratch come in my car? Here's the videotape. You saying
pointing to
no,
it.
I don't want to fix it.
So watch for that, make sure. And then the other thing that we want to talk about is angle of the photo, right?
Huge, huge.
Too many people walk around and you shoot photos from your perspective of
This is the problem. You get a camera angle like this. I'm not sure if I'm at the right angle for whatever camera it is, but I'll move to a couple different cameras here. And it's an angle like this, so it's pointing downward at the car, and it gives you a bad image. And these are point and shoots, and you can see. So you want to hold it more in this fashion here, and either hit the button here or hit it here. And you want to have, and then if I'm taking, well, this is up on top of a bench, so if the car was down and I wanted to take the rocker, you would have to crouch down and get the rocker, because if you take it from this perspective, it's going to look completely different.
Right.
Same thing with, you know, let me borrow the screen for a second. So, I mean, if I'm taking a dent over here, and the dent's like, let's say I'm going to take the door handle area, I'm not going to put this down here and then try and shoot it. It's not going to work. This has to be in the same plane as the place I'm looking for, just like this. I can't take the picture down here and expect it to catch it. So, once again, it's nice for
Moving
you to
around.
think you want to look at it, you saw it, but you have to let somebody else see it, so you have to give it from their perspective or their point of view, and that's why it's just like when you're taking a rad support that's damaged. I get this. Instead of taking it and putting it like this, to be able to take a picture straight down at it. Okay, and try and keep your feet out of it, because it just looks ridiculous when you take your feet and you're standing underneath there. But those
know.
are some of those perspective pictures that we've talked about to keep you out of the photograph or the angle of the photograph. It tells us if you take cleaner photos, there'll be less questions about stuff.
Right.
a lot of less questions. And
Oh, and the
giving
biggest tip
perspective.
I can say, and this is because of investigations or post-repair, do me a favor, do yourself a favor. I'm a pet peever for leaving labels on parts, on new parts. Let's say you change an engine cradle.
Point one.
Do me a favor, put the engine cradle in, get a picture of the engine cradle that's out of the car that's damaged, and a picture of the one in the car with the label on it, and you peeling the label off. Believe me, God forbid anything ever goes wrong, you have a picture. I did change it. I did put a new one, blah, 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 whatever it is. But please take pictures that way. It's much smarter that way to get pictures of the old part out and the new part in, or new bolts being put in, especially for suspension components. Oh, we don't think you changed these bolts. Well, if I put the bolts in, I'm going to have tool markings on them, so it's hard to say if I reused them or put them in new. You know, so take pictures of the old bolts, maybe in a little pan or something, and take a picture of the new bolts in there, or the new bolts in the bag and the old bolts out, and you're putting them in.
Right. So a couple of things to keep in mind are, well, I'll just say this. The way I like to test this, and I used to do this with my adjusters, is take a closed file that you've written, hand it to somebody that's in your office, whether that's maybe you've got a peer, another estimator, maybe there's a shop owner, maybe there's an admin person in the office, and ask them, does this file stand alone, so to speak? Can you look at my estimate and look at my photos and not have to ask me questions or have any questions in your mind? If you can, you're taking great photos. If you have some issues with the photos, then you know that you've got some things to change.
And it's really bad if you look at your own photos and go, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
I would get that all the time doing audits, traditionally on shops where they have pictures in there and they're so close up on something, you have no idea what it is. Now I walk over to you and go, what is that? And you tell me. But because you took the picture, but the person reviewing your file is not the person that took the picture.
Right.
So the things have to stand alone. Make sure you have all the right tools in your shop to take good pictures. And if you don't have some of those tools, well, call us.
Yes.
And we can definitely hook you up and get you connected with Collision Edge. We have their products on our website. Your products are also on Amazon. I mean, I think you guys are everywhere. There's 1,000 ways to find you. But make sure that you have the tools that are telling the story. I promise you it makes a difference. Remember that you're telling a story to a person that's never done your job.
Right.
They're trying their best to do the job they have, and so anything we can do to make it simpler, which doesn't necessarily mean putting all those pink marks and writing all over the panels. Make sure you're helping them tell the story with words, not X's. Use your words.
Yes.
I used to tell my kids, use your words.
Use your words.
Right. Same thing for estimators. All right. Well, that's the close of day one of the World Fair.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming. Now you're going to stick around for a day or two, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Ginger and Tim are going to hang out for a while. So if you do have questions, you can reach them here for the next couple of days. We're going to put them to work in a couple of other things that we have coming up tomorrow. But we will start off tomorrow bright and early with RTA, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So we're actually going to do
God.
a live RTA. We're going to let Mark and Larry go at it and let everybody just see what an RTA actually looks like. So
I will have my
Mark,
negotiator.
I'll give you a ruler.
I will have the negotiator thing with me tomorrow, and we'll show the applications.
I've got a 4-foot one.
all right. We'll see everybody back at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you. Good
Take
night.
care.
y'all.
Good night.